Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Howl's Moving Castle. And this movie came out in 2004, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I thought this movie was pretty great. I really enjoyed this one as well. It's probably one of my favorites, and top five for sure. As of recording this, top five. Like all of his movies, the animation looks pretty great. Although, what makes this one stand out a little bit compared to the other ones, in kind of a somewhat negative way, is that there was some 3D animation that didn't blend super well with the environments, but it wasn't like a super consistent thing throughout the entire film, in the sense that they weren't using 3D animation like just beating you over the head with it. So at least that was the case, instead of it being over reliant on it, but it's still noticeable, and that would be just one complaint that I have with it. But aside from that, there's nothing really to complain about animation-wise. Like, the 2D animation looks great, the designs of everything, the character designs and the creatures and all that stuff I thought was really great, and I thought it looked excellent. I really liked the music in this movie. It was kind of relaxing in certain scenes, and it always complemented the scenes in which it was in. It was not in every scene of the movie, but when it did show up, it did complement the scene in terms of what it was going for. And I also thought the performances in this movie were pretty strong, and the characters are also very memorable and likable. Like, I really enjoyed the journey that the main character Sophie goes through, and I love everything that is going on in this movie. And I do like the kind of fantasy elements of this movie as well. That's what helps keep the movie interesting, or at least the world interesting. And there's just a lot to take in from a visual presentation and world building, and just a lot of stuff that I really liked. And there's parts of the story that genuinely hit for me, and I really felt the emotions that it was going for. And one thing that I will say about this movie is that there's action going on, but it doesn't really focus on the action. It's more focused on our main character, Sophie, and how she's going through everything. And it's not really focusing on the action that is going on in the background that Howl, that character, is involved with. And personally, that never once bothered me, because it's not really what the movie is about. Like, the action scenes that are going on, like, that you don't see, it's not really what the movie is going for. And personally, what we got, I feel as though, was just like a perfect balance as to like what we needed, and it just worked. This is a movie that just works for me. And I never once felt the runtime of this movie. And this movie is 2 hours long, and I personally was never bored throughout any of it. And there was always something going on in the story or with the characters, and they're all very likable characters. That's something that this movie is very good at, is making these characters feel likable, and also feel someone like real people, like you can relate to them and really get invested in their story. And there's a decent amount of characters, but the movie never gets bogged down by the amount of characters that are in this movie. And speaking of things that don't drag this movie down, the things that are going on in this movie, like this big war and all the politics that go along with it, the movie doesn't really focus on that either. It's more or less about the characters and what they need to go through, and you do get an idea of what's going on and a good understanding of what you would need to know for things to work. But the movie doesn't come to a grinding halt to tell you, this is happening here, this is happening there, this is happening there, blah, 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 blah. We need to do this, but we can't do this without doing that. Like, none of that is really in the movie. It's kind of hinted at, but it's not giving you so much that it loses focus in terms of like what it is, like it easily could. And sure, you could do that in a way that would make the story still work, but I'm glad that the movie chose not to do it, and it didn't get ruined by that either, because there's a difficult balance between showing what's necessary for the story and things that are going on in the background that's also important information that you would need to know. And it's not necessarily the focus, but you do get a good understanding of what's going on there without losing track of what's important to the story. Like, I feel that's a difficult balance, and this movie just manages to pull that off very well. And there was a lot to chew on in this movie in terms of the story. There was plenty of substance to it, and I never once felt wanting more. Like, I got exactly what I would want from a story like this. I was really happy by the end of the movie. The only other complaint that I have with this movie, aside from some 3D animation looking a bit dated, is that there were a couple dumb moments in this movie that I felt could have been approached a bit better, but overall, I was still happy with what this movie gave me by the end of the day. And I would highly recommend that you check this movie out. I'll totally see it again personally. It's one of my favorite Miyazaki films. It's up there for sure. With Porco Rosso, Castle in the Sky, and My Neighbor Totoro. Like, those three are pretty great, and this one is in that group of movies. Like, in that group of three. No, it's a group of four now. But anyways, getting a little off track. Highly would recommend that you check this movie out. It's currently on Max if you want to stream it, so it should be pretty easy for you to find. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Howl's Moving Castle a 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of Howl's Moving Castle, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for the third animated movie in a row, that being Anomalisa. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.